Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm joined with Kathy of Cinema Podcast and Amit of D54. And we're going to talk about the Netflix Hindi film Murder Mubarak. So, this movie. Okay, I cannot promise that we're going to be spoiler-free on this, so fair warning, because there's certain things that aggravated all of us that we were talking about in our chat. Yeah. So if you want, I mean, this is a murder mystery. So if you want to be, go watch the movie and then come back. Although maybe
we might save you some time.
Yeah, we might save you a couple of hours of your life.
Oh my God.
Okay, when I saw the trailer, I was excited because of this cast. Okay, yes. Because it's like one of those Agatha Christie things where you have all these different people in this murder mystery together, and of course everyone has secrets. And first we're suspecting this one, then that one, and you have the fun detective. Okay, because Pankaj Tripathi, like, who doesn't like him, right? I mean, he's great. So he plays ACP Bhavani Singh. He's usually completely hilarious. I love him. So I was like, okay, I'm excited. And then we have Vijay Varma is in it. I'm like, I'm excited.
Vijay, why would you lower your... Okay, go ahead.
Okay. We have Karisma Kapoor, who doesn't act in a lot of movies. So I was excited to see her playing this diva movie actress.
Yeah.
We have Dimple Kapadia. Like, come on, we got Dimple with these big green glasses. Come on, right? Like, so I got all excited. And then we have Sara Ali Khan, which, like, okay. So, but I'm like, look at this cast. This will be really fun.
It did. I was blown away by the trailer, going, wow, so many people.
Yeah. I remember seeing the trailer. I remember seeing the Netflix little tease that they do, and I was like, oh wow, this is really interesting. Obviously, wrong? I mean, it's hard to pull myself away from seeing this movie and thinking of the Daniel Craig movies.
They're very similar.
Yeah. Right.
Who's the director?
Yeah, somebody
Knives Out and Glass Onion, those two movies that came out. And like I quite like those movies, to be honest. But again, like, they're not, I think personally they're not really my kind of movies. There's a lot of exposition in those movies. But still, I did like sort of the quirkiness. I did like some of the comedy. It did sort of work for me. And I think in those movies the cast worked really well, especially Glass Onion. I think that one worked really well.
Right.
This
movie is trying to take off all of those kinds of things. Yeah.
Which I think is valid. I love the idea of an Indian version of this, and a bunch of rich people in a hotel and all this mystery happening. It should have worked.
It's like one of those things, like, on paper it should have worked. This was an adaptation of, I assume this is a book called Club You to Death.
Love that. That's a great
by Anuja Chauhan, and this director is Homi Adajania, who did Finding Fanny, which was this weird little independent movie, and then it was adapted by Ghazal Dhaliwal, Tamajit Das, Supratim Singupta. So again, no huge names there. Okay. Right. And it's like I'm trying to put my finger on it, because I lost patience with. I finished the film, but I lost patience with it halfway through. As you're saying, Amit, this kind of a setup involves tons of expositions. When you have a movie that has 3 million characters and you have to learn what everybody's backstory is,
it's so hard.
I mean, it's like everybody had their backstory. Sara Ali Khan, with her, she's a widow, her husband, died, and you just have, and she has a petty theft problem, or she just what is it called?
Just
kleptomania, right? Where she just keeps picking up things and stealing things. We have Vijay Varma looking really pained, and we know there's some huge eggs backstory with him and Sara Ali Khan, and we're like, but do we care about that? I'm not sure. Are we like, go back to Calcutta, get out of here?
I can't even think of a character I actually did like, and I think that was part of the problem, is that there weren't any believable characters. Number one, they were just cartoons. They were just like types, and they were not believable. And I feel like, honestly, I didn't even like Knives Out and Glass Onion. I just thought they were really contrived, and the endings were stupid, and I did not understand the idea of Knives Out having a device that would have a woman who throws up every time she lies or hears a lie. That was what? First of all, why do we need to see one vomit scene, let alone 20 in one movie? It was ridiculous. So I was kind of, not loving those. So going to this, I'm like, somebody please, because I love mysteries, give me a movie like Knives Out that's better. So it was not, unfortunately.
No, it was.
But the one thing I think of some stuff I did like. One was it had a beautiful location. It had a very cute cat. It didn't last very long, and that's my problem with it. Also, what they did to the cat was pointless, stupid, and made no sense in the plot.
This is where we're really going to talk about spoilers.
A little bit, even though the cat
gets by one character gets accidentally burned in an oven. Like, they don't just like show smoke and say that and have they linger on a shot of the cat in the oven. Linger.
After we already had this little girl looking for this cat for 10 minutes in the opening scene and how cute it was and kept showing how cute it was. So and I didn't understand why that was even so. There was like kind of dumb stuff like that they made a big deal out of that made no difference. And so they were picking and choosing odd things. And I just didn't buy it. And so and then they got convoluted and I didn't care about anybody and I didn't care who died or who lived. And it was a relief when people got killed. The only thing I also kind of liked was that it was really modern and shockingly graphic. Sexual situations.
Like I wasn't ready for Sara Ali Khan to have a sex scene like I was like,
I was like, what is happening? I know,
like and right off the bat, the F word is coming out of her mouth left and right. I'm like,
that was kind of refreshing. I did like how profane and like saucy it was, right? But they just didn't do anything with it. They didn't.
All right, it wasn't worth 2.5 hours of my life
definitely was not.
To see Vijay Varma in a sex scene. Give me another movie with that, people. Do your jobs.
I know
I shouldn't have to go through all of that to get that.
Oh my god, I know it was so it just felt underwritten. The mystery was convoluted. I didn't care. I even lost interest. Like, what's the mystery now? I mean, I couldn't really. There was no strong through way of what was happening. The cops were bumbling and acting like they were smart, and then they weren't. And then they weren't. So it just wasn't. There wasn't a fine line and a clear narrative that made you care about anything. There were no. It was all over the place. So it was kind of messy.
I think about some of these other things. I don't know how long the Knives Out movies were. Like, it just felt.
They're also
so
a bit
long.
longer.
Oh, were they?
No, they were also quite long. I think one of the main differences between Knives Out, Glass Onion, and this movie in particular, I found was that, like, when we talked about the cast, I actually remember some of the cast members from Knives Out and Glass Onion. Like, I think they were distinct enough, and they were. I don't know if likable was the right word, but at least it had some distinct qualities to them. Like,
you can tell the characters apart.
Like Captain America. Like, what's his name?
I remember them. What was
Chris Evans in his sweater.
Chris Evans.
Yes, Chris Evans.
His sweater, and he had a lot. Batista was great in Glass Onion.
The sweater was great.
And Daniel Craig was, likable and quirky in a good way in those movies. Whereas in this movie, I just felt like
his accent was painful, though. The accent was just weird. He was just doing Kevin Spacey.
As someone that's outside of America, for me that was very
true. Didn't matter to you.
for me, it worked well. But in terms of like this movie, man, the actors were just. Pankaj Tripathi, I was not buying his character much. It looked way too much of a ripoff of what they would do with Daniel Craig. For one, even the costume design and everything.
So much.
Like, do something original. His sort of cop friend, and he kept telling the story. For me, the other thing that didn't work was a comedy. Like, they really try to put the comedy into this movie to be kind of like, wacky comedy, but it just didn't land with me. I don't know if the cat scene was meant to be funny or not, but it definitely didn't work for me. And a lot of other scenes like that too.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, honestly, I don't have much I can say that I really liked about this movie. Most of the time I watched it with frustration just because I was so confused. And it got so frustrating at the end. I didn't care who the culprit was. And the ending also felt a little bit forced to me in some ways. Like, I was like, oh, let's just chuck a twist in. Oh, by the way, it was her all along.
Yeah, okay. It's like, right. And then you're like, oh, it was her? Yeah, okay, whatever. It just didn't matter.
Right? Really I mean, any of the truth bombs we got, the only funny gag where I was like, okay, you got me, was when Karisma Kapoor is covered in blood and she's in this bed with this guy.
That worked,
Okay. And then they were like, cut. And then you realize that she's in a movie. And Pankaj Tripathi is there to visit her on set. Okay. Like, she killed it in that one scene. Like, she was awesome. And the way he was just kind of fawning over her stardom was pretty funny. Okay.
Thinking of that, like, her role was so limited in this movie. Like, I think it took like maybe an hour for her to have more than like 5 lines.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
You know, is she just there to look pretty in this movie? Like, what's
Sure
the
seemed
role
like
for
it.
her?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's just, yeah, I don't know if this was based on a book or a play or whatever, but it's like, you know, could they have made it fewer characters? I don't know. Like, it was just, it just didn't work for me, is the bottom line.
I mean, it's on Netflix. I wanted it to work because I would love for them to get more, you know, Indian content like this, and you know, a lot of international content they're going after, which I think is great. I wish it was better, but you know, it's on Netflix. If you want to give it a shot, costs you nothing,
right?
Maybe you'll like it. I don't know. I mean, we didn't really spoil it that much. Honestly, the mystery is kind of beside the point. It's more about just the whole thing. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm really surprised. You know, Pankaj Tripathi is normally so great, and I was like, he was a little bit off in this, where I wasn't completely enjoying his shtick. So I don't know. Yeah, I can't. Like, I would definitely not recommend somebody to pay money to see it in the theater. But as you pointed out, Kathy, it's if you already subscribe to Netflix, you can give it a try. And I also don't know if some of the humor just didn't work, because I mean, anything that was slapstick just didn't work on me. But I'm wondering if some of it was, if you understood the Hindi or the wordplay, or you know what slang they were using or whatever, and all of that over my head. It wasn't the kind of subtitles that would give me. It wasn't the kind of careful subtitles that give me a clue to any of that, if it existed in the dialogue. And I don't even know if it did. So
yeah, I don't think it did. Yeah.
I mean, I'd be surprising if that was the case. It was on Netflix, so I'm sure they were targeting, you know, international audiences. So to have that distinct kind of humor, I'd be surprised if they did that.
You know, they just don't. Netflix subtitles are not always the best. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't know that they go that extra step that I have seen with some other. So I don't know. Yeah, I can't recommend it, and I'm really sorry, because we were all kind of excited from the trailer. It looked really fun. But all right, thanks guys for suffering through that with me this week, and everybody watching it. Do check out. We just reacted to Monkey Man, so look for that trailer reaction on Kathy's channel coming soon. And
it looks much better.
Yeah. We're really excited about that film. And then if you're into Malayalam film, you have to check out D54, Amit's channel.
The place.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.